teach that I've been taught when I was at school. I'm an investor, a business owner, and a money educator. Understand it better, compound interest, cash flow, budgeting, investments, recover from debt. No one explained to me, put your money to work. It's about normalising the conversation. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Money Mechanics podcast. Today I'm super excited to be joined by actually a very good friend of mine, Jen. Jen is the founder of a business called So Confident, and I'll let her tell you all about that in a minute. She is also a global sewing business entrepreneurial coach and an author of a book called Stop Playing Small. Jen and I met in 2022, can't remember now. One of them. What? And we met in Ibiza on a business retreat, and I met Jen in a bikini with a gin in my hand, and we've been best friends ever since, basically. So Jen, tell us who you are. First of all, thank you for being here, but tell us who you are, what you do. Make us a little intro.
Okay, so my baby really is So Confident, and what we do at So Confident is we teach sewing classes, we sell fabrics, sewing machines, all like nice high quality stuff, none of your nonsense cheap fabrics or anything like that. And the kind of ethos of this business is to teach people how to sew. So we'll teach you how to dressmake, how to make curtains, we do knitting and crochet and crafty things as well. But actually what the business is about encouraging women to give something new a go, because in turn when you try something that you think I can't sew a button on, which I hear all the time, and then you realise actually I can do way more than sew a button on, I didn't think I was capable of it. It's like, well, what else are you kind of telling yourself that you're not capable of that you are capable of? So it's a big confidence thing. There's a big de-stressing element for women as well. A lot of my customers are people who you would think wouldn't have the time for a hobby. So they are lots of doctors, lawyers, a lot of NHS people who are very stressed out actually, and they need something to switch off, because sitting in front of the TV, they've got their phone in their hand, they've got their laptop on their knee, and that is not relaxing at all, and they never switch off. But when you're sewing, you're having to engage your brain to actually understand, you're putting a dress together or whatever. I mean, you've been to one of my sewing retreats many months ago. You know exactly what it's like.
Me to make curtains, because I'm one of these busy people with a busy brain.
Yes.
I had to concentrate on making curtains, which now hang in my living room.
There we go. And that actually, curtains is the one thing that saves you a fortune as well. So there's a whole load of things, but basically it is about creativity, de-stressing, the social side as well, because as you're an adult it's harder to make new friends and meet new people, and I think that's really important. I've never really struggled with making new friends and meeting people, so I never really thought it was like a big deal. But as I talk to other people, you've got your school friends, you've maybe got your university friends, and then it stops unless you've got a business and you're networking. I think that's an easier way to make friends. So it's all about kind of empowering women and but also making nice clothes on the side. So that's So Confident. And then a similar kind of vein is the Sewing Business Coach, which is where I help people to do what I've done, essentially, because in the creative industry, in any creative industry, women sometimes play things down and be like, oh, I don't really want to do that. But we know that women make amazing business owners. They build great businesses. They become great employers if they're given the tools and the confidence, and they just need a wee bit of a hand to be like, I'm actually quite good at this and I'm going to go big. Like, this doesn't have to be a hobby business. So that's one thing that kind of annoys me in the sewing world, is that a lot of women have sewn as a wee side hustle or as like a little, it's just a wee hobby business. When I'm like, see, if you wanted to be more than that, like, it absolutely can be. So I help people do that, essentially. So those are the two aspects of what I do.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. And the first question we always start with is, what's your earliest memory of money?
My earliest memory of money is actually in Spain. I love a holiday, as you know, and even as a youngster, my parents took me on holiday, so a lot, which was great. It's probably why I love the sun so much now. I believe I was in Spain and I was selling all my dad's belongings back to him for pesetas, because that's how old I am. It was pesetas. The wee coin with a hole in the middle. Like, what was, I don't even know what that was, but all I knew was I was exchanging all of my dad's belongings that I have taken from his probably suitcase. I had lined him up into a shop. I'd called it Mrs. Mogg's shop, and I was just fleecing him for his own belongings, basically. So that's my earliest memory of money. I don't really remember much else before that. I was maybe I was like 8 years old or something, I think, when I was started in that not very ethical business of theft and
stealing.
And stealing
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in your life, in your experience around money, do you think that your earliest experiences with money have contributed in a positive way to who you are as an adult business owner, now mum, wife, all the things? Do you think that what you learned when you were super young is what has carried through, or have you learned new things along the way that is different now?
I actually think I feel quite fortunate in that my parents were good with money, or I always thought they were. I don't know if that was always the case, actually. So I was never aware of us not having enough. I was never aware of, I was never aware of them having debt. They probably did have debt, but there's not any negative, which I think is quite unusual, actually, because you hear people's money stories mostly being around there wasn't enough, I was told money doesn't grow on trees and all that, and actually I didn't have that at all. And it's not that my parents were rich, because I now know that they used to go down the side of the couch and try and get money together to buy themselves a Chinese on a Friday night or whatever. So actually it wasn't that they had loads of money, but I was very sheltered from it, which I think's quite nice. And my dad is good with money. And I think what that has instilled in me is perhaps a negative that I've picked up is that money is a security blanket for me. It is up there with, if the bank account's running low in my business or personally, I start to freak out. I'll be like, so I need I'm a safety net kind of person. I need a safety net of a certain amount of money that's in there that makes me feel calm. And in business, as you'll know, there'll be some months, some years even, where everything's tougher. And those years stress me out so much. So I think that's maybe that's the only negative I've got. I'm not sure quite where that comes from, to be honest, but it's just, maybe it's a really common thing, is that money is like a safety blanket for me. But I think probably my youngest, it felt plentiful, I suppose, money when I was younger, and plentiful for me as a child was my dad would always give me 50 pence for shops. Like, it wasn't like he was never going to say no. There was always kind of money lying about as well. Like, his bedside table in particular, he had a wee thing of money, and he would always say, just go and take 50 pence or go and take £1 and go to the shops. And I don't know if perhaps visually seeing money lying about made me think there was plenty of it. Even if it was only £5 sitting there or whatever. So I think maybe there's been some intentional stuff that they've done that's made me, I've not got big issues with money, but there's also been some unintentional things that they've not maybe known that they've done that has created a sense of there will always be money, you'll always be okay, which I know is quite unusual and quite fortunate. I do not take that for granted at all, because it makes everything easier as you get older.
Yeah. Okay, a very short interruption of the episode, so I want you to get back to listening. I just wanted to remind you that the Money Mechanics weekly newsletter is completely free, and we'll send this out to you every week. All you've got to do is find the link in the show notes and get signed up. When we send this out to you, this weekly newsletter is going to include things that will help you to become a better money mechanic. It could be things like what's happening in the markets, things like budgets, how that's going to impact you. And I'm also going to share a lot of insight into what I'm doing in my own portfolio and in the portfolios of the guests we've got on the podcast, to really just help you understand what you could do differently to make your money work as best as it can for you. Make sure you go and find that link and get signed up. I think that's really interesting. So what you're saying is that and again, I don't think this is a common thing. I think most people I speak to have this like backstory of money where and especially entrepreneurial people that I speak to, and quite a lot of, I think just because the audience that I have and the people that I work with, clients and stuff, it's often women have this backstory of there's not enough money. So they fight and fight and fight, and they build a business to be independent and free so they can have their own money. So what you're saying is that your experience around it was that it wasn't abundant necessarily, but it was available. And because of that, you never really worried about it. And so actually I've spent a lot of time speaking to you about money and business and all things. And your attitude to money is always, well, we'll just make more money.
Yeah.
Like, because more money is available and there's plenty of money out there and we can all get a bit of it. You just need to figure out the how to do it. And I'm always really like, impressed with your attitude to that, because not a lot of people have got that. It's one of the reasons I love you so much, is me and you have the same attitude to that, is, oh shit, things are going wrong. Inevitably, business is business. It will go wrong a little bit, but it'll be all right, because actually we'll just make a bit more money, and actually it'll reset. And you think that comes from your what's the word? Your certainty that there will be more. It might take a minute, it might be hard, but your certainty that it will comes from that awareness of money being available when you were little.
I think so, because I can't think of where else it came from. I mean, I've done some work on it as well. Like, I think we've all done the whole let's delve into a kind of unconscious money story. Yeah. I love a bit of therapy. I love a bit of NLP, a bit of hypnosis, timeline therapy, you name it, I've tried it. Yeah. So I've done a bit of that, but it's never come up as something that needs fixed in me. There's been other things that have needed fixed. A lot of other things needing fixed, but
we're all action-packed with other issues, but that's not for today, Jen.
But yeah, I think that's probably where it comes from. And my motivation to start a business was never it wasn't that I didn't want to make money, but my motivation, I remember, for starting the business was, honestly, you're going to laugh at this, I don't want people telling me when I can and can't take my holidays.
I mean, I'm not going to laugh at you because I feel the same.
I don't want people telling me what to do, but specifically, I used to work in retail when I was a student, and my pals were going on holiday, and I tried to get like a week off or whatever, and they were pure, oh no, someone else has got holidays, and I was like, so, like, tell me I'm going.
I'm going anyway.
So, which not the best employee in the world, because I don't like being told what to do, but that was my biggest driving factor. And money, obviously, it gives you a lot of freedom and allows you to have a nice life, and it's very important, but it was, for me, more of the control over my own life and my own destiny that kind of made me start my own business.
So how do you think money impacts control of destiny? Let's talk a little bit about that, because there's lots of people listening to this who have jobs, and they say to me often, yeah, but Sarah, entrepreneurship's not everything. Like, some people are really happy in their jobs, and I get it, and they are, and that's fine. I would be a shit employee, same as you. I don't want to ask for permission. I want to be able to start my day at 10 o'clock. I want to have a shower and do my hair and stuff before the gym, and then I want to do all the things. I want to sit and have a coffee at 3 p.m, should I want to. Like, I don't want to have to ask. But how do you think money impacts people's choices to either be employed or have a business? Do you think for most people it's money, or do you think for most people it's that freedom bit that makes the decision to do one or the other?
I think it's probably money. I think people get trapped in jobs and can't leave, to be honest, because another thing that happened to me that was, again, I'm quite fortunate for it, was I've got a creative degree. Nobody wants to hire somebody who has a fashion business degree. Unfortunately, turns out, did 4 years and then only realised at the end that nobody wants to hire anyone who's doing a fashion degree for 4 years, and had no option other than to kind of start my own business or work in retail. Those are my options. Like, you're going to work in retail forever. I actually quite liked retail, not going to lie. So I'm not bashing retail at all. I did quite enjoy it. But whereas had I, done a degree that had a guaranteed good job with like a nice chunky income, I think I would have got trapped in that potentially. Or maybe I wouldn't have. Who knows? You don't know what's going to happen. But I do think it's very hard, especially the older you get, when you've got responsibilities, mortgages to pay, you've got a car that probably shouldn't have, that's too expensive, whatever it is, and then you're like, well, how can I take the risk when it's not just about the older you get, it's often not just about you anymore either. You maybe got families that require you to actually bring money in, and it's like, why? How could you leave? It's too big a risk. I would get stuck in that, and I think that's what happens. People get stuck, and it's very, I'm always very, I always admire people who do leave a job and say, right, I'm doing one thing, I'm going to give it a crack. And I suppose it's like, if it was me and I had a nice job, I would be and I wanted to start my own business, I'd be squirreling away so that I had that safety net in case it didn't work. I didn't want to try it. But ultimately, you can pretty much make, I feel like I can make almost anything work. But that's maybe an absolute...
That's a belief thing, though.
Madman mentality of like...
You do have a madman mentality, you absolutely do. And I think the one of the most incredible things about you as a businesswoman, as a friend as well, is that you genuinely just have a positive approach to all things. Like, even when shit's hitting the fan, even on our worst days when I've either cried on you or we've had a conversation over cocktails where I'm like, the world's falling apart, for either of us, you definitely have a very similar approach to me, which is, yeah, but what actually is this doing to help us learn how to get better at the thing that we've been trying to do? Is that just ingrained in you, or have you had to work to get to that point?
I was 100% not always like this. Like, I had a family situation that happened where there's a family member who's estranged from the family. I never thought it would happen. And it really knocked me for six. It kind of shook everything up, and I was an absolute mess. And I used to be I was actually negative before that. Somebody once told me, this, we're going back a good probably 10 years now, but somebody once said that I was one of the most negative people they'd ever met. And my reaction to that was like, what are you talking? I actually was. Everything was doom and gloom. But I think it was a bit of circumstantial stuff, or it was because, I'd felt like I'd done all the right things. I'd gone to uni, I'd done the 4 years at university, and graduated in a recession. We're still in that recession, to be honest. Like we've never really come out of that as far as I'm concerned, but people still make money in recessions, which I didn't know at the time. And I just felt like I'd done everything right. I'd studied hard at school. I'd done the university thing, and then I kept losing my job after university, and I just felt like nothing was going right for me. And I felt like, why is my life so shit? Like, this isn't fair. I've done everything I was supposed to do. I was super negative. Then this thing happened with a family member who's now like estranged. I don't speak to them anymore, and but what happened at that time as well was, when I was going through this really tough time, I remember I was so stressed out about it that I wasn't sleeping and my eye was twitching. I mean, I now know that as stress because I do sometimes get it, but at that point I was like, I didn't know what it was. Like, I didn't realise that it was like my body was trying to tell me, like, you need to change something here.
Down. Yeah.
Like, calm your jets. This is crazy. It was just like I was so highly strung for such a long time. And I worked in a menswear retailer at the time, like a small independent one. They were buying, this is why it's like everything happens for a reason thing comes from. They were buying a gift shop, and they wanted a member of staff in the gift shop before they had made the full transaction, so that they had a member of staff that they knew and trusted, who knew how everything worked and within that business. So I went over to this gift shop. It's called Maya Gifts. It's still there in Glasgow. And the sale fell through. So I'd moved over to this other company, which was much more aligned to, it was like really a sort of gorgeous shop. They've got lovely girly things versus a menswear shop, like not really my vibe. Obviously, I don't wear menswear clothes. And the people who owned it were very spiritual, and Sonny and Sam and I still to this day I'm friends with them, and they changed everything for me. Like, and again, I think I was meant to meet them, because he was kind of gently he was like a therapy, I suppose, because he was, what, you meet people and they've got such a zen energy that and you're just like, I'm so calm, and he obviously knew there was something going on. It was kind of like, hey, what's going on? And I can remember would be like cashing up sometimes, and him or his partner Sam would be like, what's going on with you? Like, and he started to say, I think one of the most powerful things he said to me was, you being annoyed about this situation is only hurting you. No one else knows about it. Like, if someone has done you wrong, or maybe they haven't done you wrong and you just think they have, but if someone is affecting you, and you're letting it get to the point where it's going to make you ill, because I had the pure twitchy eye and all that, wasn't sleeping, all the rest of it, then it's not actually affecting them because they don't know. And I thought, that's actually really powerful. And he's like, the only thing you can control is how you approach this situation. And he was like, just forgive everything, like, and let it go. And I really struggled to do that because I was quite a feisty, like, angry person probably before that. And since then,
I mean, you're still pretty feisty now, to be fair.
Feisty, but I'm
less angry.
I'm less angry. I'm feisty, but I'm also like, I'm feisty, but then I'm like, let's look at what's the learning outcome in this feistiness. Yeah. So since then, I was really actually quite a super negative person until that turning point, whereas now I'm much more trusting in the process, trusting in, like, the universe, or whatever you want to call it. I call it the universe. That everything happens for a reason. There's everything you need to learn from everything that happens, good and bad, in your life, and that really helps with dealing with bad, because you do get bad news in business, in life, and it really helps with life in general. But I was not always like this. It's probably only the last 10 years.
That to me is a really surprise, because I didn't know that story, and I think it's really interesting to just be aware of just how easy it is to change the way we think about things just by hearing something said in a slightly different way than what we've heard it before, or being surrounded by different energy to what we used to. Different types of people with different attitudes and approaches to things can actually change everything, literally in a conversation. It's fascinating.
Including financial stuff. So it's not just about airy-fairy feeling good because you've forgiven everyone and everything's fine, but just like changing your energy 100% just opens you up to receiving other opportunities that are going to lead to wherever you want to go, whether that's money, whether that's a better work-life balance, whatever it is. But it's I know that obviously your good friend Emma is big, and you are big into energy and crystals and all that sort of thing. And I know that some people will think crystals, like stones, very good. But if you think they work for you, then they do raise
happy days, yeah.
And they do work. So I'm big on protecting my energy now. And even when bad things happen, I'm not wallowing in it.
Yeah, that's such an important thing. And I think, like, I remember back to, like, my recruitment days. And actually, you've kind of just reminded me of a thing that happened, which when I was leaving recruitment, I left recruitment because there was some personal shit going on in my life, like big, hard stuff. And I remember asking my boss if I could have some time off, and they said no. And it was this, like, situation. So I started my own company and I left. And I remember saying to my friend at the time that, because my boss had basically said to me, you'll be back. There's no way you're going to make this work on your own. You'll be back any minute. And I remember, I think she put in an email or a text or something like this. So I said to my friend, I'm going to print this thing and I'm going to put it in a frame and I'll put it on my wall in my office. And that's going to be the energy that will drive me forwards. And my friend then said to me, I don't think you should do that, because whilst it's a motivator, you're being motivated by super negative energy. And you're doing it with spite in your heart rather than doing it with ambition and aspiration and excitement in your heart. And I didn't ever print it, and I never put it on the wall. And obviously we'll never know whether it would have made any difference or not. I remember that conversation kind of changing the way to approach yourself. Like, instead of doing it to prove to them I was doing it to prove to myself that I could. And actually that, I think, has served me along the way. And that, that approach to things just changed everything.
Yeah, I think it's so easy, isn't it, to fall into that. They will rue the day that they did that to me. And I do get still a bit like that, to be fair. But like you have to, it does light a fire under you a wee bit sometimes to be pure. Let's make them sorry that they ever, didn't award us that contract or whatever it is. But it's not a good place. It pulls you down.
It's not a good place to, 100%. You can't stay in that energy for long periods of time.
You can use it for a week to, like, make you make some moves, and then you need to get over it and you need to go back.
100%. 100%.
It's not good.
So one of the things you said earlier was, in your experience, obviously working with the type of clients that you work with, generally, you said, especially women, they tend to play a bit smaller than what we see men playing, right? Why do you think that is?
I'm such an insane that I just think that women have been pushed into a box for forever, pretty much. And I think the tide is turning recently. There's things that are changing. People are getting fed up with it. Women are getting fed up with it. And people are realising that if women actually ruled everything, then it would be a very different world. Like,
different world, yeah.
I think it's Finland that's completely run by women, and they're like the happiest country in the world or something like that. I'm like, can we pay more attention to this, please? But I think we're just told from really early on, like, you know, oh, you're just going to look pretty, find a nice husband, you know, live off them and have a nice house, and oh, you have a couple of wee babies, that'll be nice. Whereas men are told, like, oh, you can go to the moon, like really extreme polar opposites. And it's not even intentional anymore. I don't think it was maybe ever intentional, maybe it was, but it seems like you're just told from such a young age, you know, you can go and do something arty, or you're dead pretty, and it's just like, you don't tell, it's just you're just raised differently as a woman. And even, I'm kind of noticing now, so I've got, as you know, a 10-week-old baby, and you can't, also the problem we've got now is they tell you can have it all. You can have the business and the baby and the family, and I can tell you right now that it is incredibly difficult to do both. So I'm only 10 weeks in, and I can tell you that if I didn't have a literal village of people helping me, that I wouldn't be able to be
here.
I wouldn't be able to be here because my mum is literally downstairs with the baby. It's just difficult because, and whilst, yes, there's 9 months where you have to be pregnant and have the baby, and then you could just palm the baby off to someone else, there's something in you that doesn't let you do it. Like, you just couldn't do it. You could not hand them over. If you're feeding them yourself, they're glued to you. So there's a lot of like physical reasons why it's harder for women, I think, it's easier for them to be like, I'm just going to find a husband and he'll pay for things. And I'm not saying that's what a lot of women do now, but it's society and it's patriarchy, isn't it? Which doesn't really benefit anyone, because it's crap paternity leave. So for men, they only get 2 weeks off a lot of the time, and there's just so many things that are working against women reaching their full potential, I think.
Fair enough. So where money is concerned, right, as a woman who is a business owner, a mum, a wife, all the things, right? How do you think money works against us as women in the bigger picture? Because I think the more money we've got, the easier life becomes. I don't care. It doesn't buy happiness. And I get it. Like, people say, yeah, but money's not everything. No, money isn't everything. You're 100% right. But money greases the wheels. Money pays for private healthcare so we can get shit done quicker. Money pays for a car to be fixed if it's been broken, if the tire goes flat. With no money, it's fucking hard. It's really hard. Like you said earlier, like having a safety blanket of money so that you feel safe and secure is a big part of my world. And like, money does make a difference. So in a positive way, when you have more money, it makes life easier. Yeah. But do you think that money works against women in any way that makes them play smaller?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I just think
generally the way money is in society, the way that money flows through, like, is there anything you think that actually makes it harder for girls?
It's just harder for women to make money, isn't it? We don't get paid the same. We don't get valued the same. I don't want to sound like an absolute negative Nancy and a poor me because I was born female, but it is true. Like, wherever I go, or like I walk into a car showroom with my husband and it's me that's buying a car, and they talk to him instead of me. Like, so it's just lots of things. There's assumptions that are made that can be quite damaging, that assumes that he's the one that makes all the money and I don't really make any, and I just, you know, he gives me an allowance or whatever, and we're just not like that. So I think the biggest issue is that women just do not get paid as much in jobs, obviously, but also in I don't get taken as seriously as a male in business, and 100% know that to be true. And I'm more likely to go into females are probably more likely to go into like a creative sewing. Not very many men own sewing companies, so people say the language around. Like I used to get folks saying, "Oh, how's your wee sewing business doing?" And it used to drive me insane. So I'd be like, "It's not wee, so let's like."
I turned over hundreds of thousands of pounds this year. Actually,
so, like I could probably make more money than you, Mister. It's why I stopped going to networking actually, because the assumption was always that women weren't doing as well as some bro in fintech that's not even started anything up yet. And I actually noticed there was an accelerator that I went into when I was quite early in the business. I was maybe like 5 years in. And this accelerator was amazing because it was my first experience of really networking with people, meeting other people that were doing similar things to me. And it really elevated my business, actually 100%. There's no doubt about that. And I've still got friends from this. So an accelerator is basically just a group, for anyone, if someone's listening doesn't know what that is, it's just a group of people who have businesses who are... It was organised by a bank and I think Entrepreneurial Spark, which I don't think...
Yeah, I was in it as well. I was in the same accelerator.
How mad is that?
Yeah.
I just bloody loved it. It was basically like a room of people who all had crazy ambitions, crazy ideas, and they were going to make them happen. And I just found it so inspiring because people just doing mad stuff. And I thought, if they're going to do this, then why am I thinking that I can't sell a class for 200 quid and I can only sell it for 100 quid? Do you know what I mean? So it was just there was so many ambitious people in that room. But what I really remember is there was some people who, there was a lot of women with incredible ideas, incredible businesses, doing incredible things, who were not being taken as seriously as some guy with a tech business who had been doing it for 4 years and had done nothing with it, but kept getting investment, somehow kept getting money thrown at him. Whereas there was women doing incredible things who were never getting a look in, and whether that's that they weren't encouraged.
I was just going to say, do you think that's because they weren't confident enough to ask, like men are, or do you think it was more?
I think it was a bit of both. A bit of them not thinking they were worthy of it, and them not being put forward as much for these opportunities, versus a guy who could talk a good game, but now doesn't have a business, and the women do, but it hasn't grown as much as it could have done if they'd been treated equally. And it wasn't even that they were treated unequally on purpose, but it was just you would assume that they were going to do better. Like, drives me mad.
It's interesting. So, Karen,
definitely some societal stuff going on. It's getting better. 100% getting better, I would say. But that's why I like working with women in business and creative industries, because I'm like, why not though? Why can't you have Audi Q8 if that's what you want? Like, we'll sort it out for you. We'll, like, how much you need, we'll sort it.
We'll do it. So Audi Q8 is my next car.
Why can't you have an Audi Q8, Sarah? Like,
well, I've got a Q7 now. And I want a Q8 because they're just sexier. So it's on the thing. So one of the things you said there was really interesting around being in a room full of people that were more ambitious than the people you'd generally been around in your life, and being inspired by that, learning from that, etc. When it comes to money, do you think that the people that you surround yourself with on a social level directly impacts your ability to earn money? So not your networks in business or your job, the people that you work for, but I'm talking about the people you spend your Friday and Saturday nights with. Like, do you think that a person can be really successful and wealthy and financially stable if they're also surrounded by people who have absolutely no money, no debt, no investments, no nothing, like they do nothing to learn about money? Do you think somebody could stand alone in that space and be successful financially or not?
Actually, no, I do not believe that is possible. I think you're allowed to keep your friends that aren't into, like you say, investing, aren't into and maybe they're crap with money. You're allowed to have them. You can't spend all your time with them because that energy drags you down 100%. Things definitely started changing for me when and I know you're saying not your business network, but the people in that accelerator that I met became my friends and became people I was sometimes going out with on a Friday, Saturday night, and the conversations were different and what's possible was different, and you just coached each other, I think, actually, to think this could work. you know?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're going to your friends that you, I'm actually quite fortunate in that most of the people in my life are ambitious and they're doing really well for themselves. You need a bit of both. You can't just be cutting everyone out because they're not, they're not driving a nice car. Like,
what to me? What do you mean you've got an Audi?
Because people bring other things to the table. It's not all about
100%.
It's not all about money, of course. But if you are surrounding yourself with ambitious people who are doing things that you didn't think were possible for you, but they're proving that actually you're like them and they're doing it, that kind of opens something in your brain, I think, that lets you think, hold on a minute, like, I'm capable of this as well, and I'm also going to ask them how they're doing it, even if it's a different, in fact, especially if it's a different industry, because you can learn so much from people in completely different industries that is really applicable to your business. It's a mistake to stay in a wee bubble with your own industry people, I think, even if they're all really successful, because they're all doing different things and you can learn so much from other. I think that's why I get on with you as well, because we couldn't be further from, we're so different business-wise. The industries we're in are totally different, but I can learn so much. I have learned so much from you. Like your book, I listened to your audiobook coming back from that Birmingham retreat that where you made those curtains, and then that's what made me start investing, actually, because I didn't fully get it. I wasn't confident enough, and I didn't really know many other people who had shares or had crypto or anything like that. And now I've got all of it and I love it. And I'm always telling people to read your book or listen to it, because it just...
Everyone should read Money Mechanics.
They should. Actually, they should, because it is a bit of a game changer. Nice shameless plug there for you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So let's talk about that. What was it about the book? I'm not looking for you to just gas me up about what's in the book. What I mean is, what was it you needed to hear in the book that came from the book that helped you switch from, I just don't know how to do it, so I'm not doing it, to, I think I could give this a shot. Low risk, but I could do it. Like, what switched? What did you hear that changed that?
I think it was just feeling like I actually knew what I was doing, because obviously if you're putting money in things... I'll tell you about my first investment, and it was before I read your book, I think. Yeah, it was. So my first investment was a family member who I have a lot of respect for. It was one of Steve's family members, actually. And he told me about, and he wasn't actually telling me with a view to, you should invest in this thing, but he was just talking about it, and I thought, I'm going to invest in that. And it was Nikola Tesla, and he was developing, or they were developing, the company were developing electric HGV trucks, I believe, right? So I was like, this sounds like a little bit of industry. I had never heard about it. I think it was quite new at the time. I don't know how he had heard about it. Well, he's oil and gas, I think he works in, so he's maybe heard from God knows who.
Yeah.
And he was like, this could be the next big thing, haulage, electric haulage, because haulage is obviously a big environmental issue, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, I'm going to get on Coinbase, and I'm going to stick, I think it was 200 quid, 100 quid or something, so not crazy money. And that was my first foray into investing, put it in that. And hilariously, do you know anything about this company?
No.
They got done for... They used AI to create videos of their electric trucks. So the electric trucks didn't exist, and they were a complete...
It's a scam company. Great.
They bent the truth, I think.
Okay.
And now I can tell you that company isn't even on my Coinbase app. They disappeared, completely gone. So maybe that made me think, I don't know what I'm doing here at all, and I need help. So what I needed was information about, I need to understand what this works. I didn't know what the FTSE 100 was at all. I didn't understand. I knew that it was something to do with stocks and shares, but I didn't understand that that's a lower risk way or place for me to put my money, because it's somebody else is making sure that the crap companies are getting kicked out, and it's So actually, probably the piece of information that made me feel much more comfortable investing was actually understanding what a fund was, but just having a baseline understanding of it all was quite empowering, I think, because it meant that if somebody was to ever ask me about why are you like, what is that? Why are you investing in that? I knew how to answer the question, which sounds ridiculous, but it means that I'm now, I've got lots of different, I do have I'm invested in other things that are not a fund, but that feels like just an easy way to get involved in it without having to have a degree in it, because that's the problem. I think a lot of people, if you're not investing, you think, I've no idea how that works. But I mean, how long is your audiobook? I listened to it on my drive back in its entirety, I think, from Birmingham to Glasgow.
I don't know how long it is.
Well, I pretty much
3 hours, maybe.
Yeah, that probably something like that. But I found it all so interesting and empowering, and it was enough information for me to now. I'm quite happy just sticking my money into different funds, into different crypto, and I love it. I think it's dead interesting.
So proud of you. Seriously, and I remember when you were first doing it, you were like, "I've just done this, I've done that," and it's very, very cool to hear. It's very cool.
And so my husband did it because he wasn't investing in anything, and he was like, when I was talking about it, he was like, "What are you doing?" And we're quite competitive, so he's now every so often we put so my fund's worth this, or my portfolio is worth this, and I'll be like, well, mine is worth this. And it's not crazy money or anything like that, but yeah, it's quite exciting, and it's quite nice to put your money somewhere and it's making money for you without you actually doing anything.
Have you started investing for your little girl yet?
Not yet. We
need to talk about this.
We do need to talk about this, because actually I was going to message you and be like, where should I be starting? What should I be like? Do I need some kind of high risk stocks and shares at ISA? Because I'm a high risk kind of, I'd rather put it somewhere that's going to make a chunk of money but also might lose all type thing.
Yeah. So the thing about it being for her, so she's 10 weeks old right now. So the thing about you investing with her future in mind is you've got time on your hands. So if you decided to invest for her to give her a big chunk of money when she turns 30 years of compounded interest, where if you just put in £75 3 times a year even, it's a big amount of money that you can give her. So you don't even need to go high risk really. And you can just let it tick along knowing that that's her trust. You put it in trust probably. Not that that's investment advice, anyone listening to this, but you'd probably put it in trust for her. You'd make her a trust fund baby, basically. You create generational wealth that could continue forever.
Yeah.
We can talk about that separately. The high risk stuff, I think this is all about allocation, right? The high risk, you want to have your ticking along low risk, diversified FTSE 100, SP 500, all of that sort of stuff. But if what you want to do is some sexy high risk stuff that's going to return big money, you just have to pick and choose your allocation properly. Yeah. So, and I can't tell you now, I will talk to you about it offline because I can't tell that on here. But the key thing to this is making sure that you look at your allocation and you're not taking the stuff that is long-term money you need to live on later.
Yeah.
And taking high risk with it. You want to take low risk with that stuff.
Yeah. And I guess I'm willing to gamble with a bit of it, I suppose. Not all of it. Mm-hmm. So there's that's why I've got a high risk pension, because I actually think are we going to even need a pension or have a pension? It's going to be a thing and when we retire. Will I ever retire? Probably not. So I just stuck it in. I put as high risk as possible because it'll probably be fine. If it's not, it doesn't matter. But I will need to talk to you offline about that, because
we'll do that.
It has been 10 weeks and I've keep thinking she's got a wee piggy bank and it's got cash in it. I'm like, that is devaluing everything.
Yeah, it is going down in value every day.
Exactly. I can't. So we need to get that into, and people have given her money and all that. So I definitely, I definitely need to pick your brain there.
We'll talk about that for sure. So, okay, in terms of, I want to come back to the women thing, which boys listening to this, I'm sorry, we do tend to go off on a little female tangent every now and then, but
I'm not sorry.
We're not sorry because we're girls and we need to have this conversation better, right? For the women listening to this, when it comes to earning money in careers, making money in businesses, what's your advice to them to stop playing small where money's concerned, either in a career or in a business or just in generally in life? What's your advice of how they approach that?
To make more money in their life? I think the first thing you need to do is you do need to do a bit of work on your money mindset. You have to think about, like, what are my beliefs around money? Because that's the first thing that needs fixed. So if you are the kind of person that's like, oh, it's all right for them, like, so, or if someone drives past in a Lamborghini and you think, what a dick, like, that's bad. That's not good, because it's all, if you've got all these negative emotions around money, it's going to be so much harder to attract it yourself. So if someone drives past me in a nice house, I think they're not driving past me in a house, well, they might be if it's a caravan, but if they drive past me in a nice car, I think, I wonder what they do. Like, I wonder how, like, what, and they probably, even if they do something, they probably do something dodgy. If it's like a Rolls, I drove past a Rolls Royce the other day and I thought, what do you do? Like, I want to stop you in the street and ask you, how can you afford this insane big giant car? So, and I've never really been the whole, oh, it's all right for them, like, they've got loads of money, because they worked hard. You don't know what their story is, you don't know how they made it, but that's a symbol that they're just another human being and it's possible for them. So if you can get more into the getting curious around, how are other people making their money, how are other people doing it, and it is available to everyone. For me, the first step is money mindset and having a positive outlook on that you are worthy of nice things and of security and of creating wealth for you and your family. Like, it is available to you, and it's, and having the, you know, the worst thing you can be saying to yourself is, well, people like me would never have that. The people where I grew up, you're never going to have money, because it's possible for anyone. It happens all the time where people who come from dirt poor backgrounds end up being millionaires because they just believed it was available to them, and they were the kind of person who could have the money, have the wealth, have the nice house, have the security blanket. It's all around energy for me, I think, is the first thing that needs fixed, because without it, you might make money, but you'll be miserable, or you'll lose it, or you have to believe that you're worthy of it, which is a couple of therapy sessions sometimes needed for that.
So do the work is the answer, right? Like, you've got to actually find out why you are sitting in a space inside your own inner narrative that is applying negative bullshit to the money that's in your life, or not in your life for that matter. You know, I wish I could say I've got this nailed. Like, I've got a pretty good relationship with money, but every now and then I say to myself, oh, fucking hell, you know, like, it's just not working today. And I had a client today ring me, and I thought we were going to close a contract today, and we haven't won the contract. And I'm like, oh, and my friend was here, and I was like, I was all moody about it for like 5 minutes. And I was like, but that's okay, because what's going to happen, it gives me maybe back a bit of time, and I can concentrate on something else. And I'm quite good at twisting that in my mind very quickly. Again, old me, when I was in loads of debt, actually, I'd have sat on that for days, weeks, and be like, oh, life happens, and miserable. I agree with you that I think anybody who's trying to get to a point where they have more money, where they've got the freedom to clear down their debt, or start to invest, or go traveling, or buy nice things, get a roller if that's what they want, like, whatever the thing is, the first thing we've got to do is believe that we are worthy of it, deserving of it, and that it's available to us. Because actually, you know, I've sat with some very, very wealthy people, and I've sat with some people that have got absolutely no money. And there's a very distinct difference in the way that they see the opportunity around money. Like, people that have got lots of money believe that there is an unending amount of money and it's available to them. They just need to work out how to open the door. And in my experience with people with no money, they don't believe it's available to them because of who they are, where they're from, or whatever it is. So yeah, I agree with you. I think doing the work on, like, your relationship with money and how you see it makes a massive difference. And I think when you link that into investment as a whole, as somebody who's got a good relationship with money and risk, do you think that helps you to remove the emotion from investing in general? Because, like, I remember you texted me the other week, you were like, Bitcoin's fallen on its ass, what do I do? Do I buy more? And I'm like, no, let me just give you my thoughts, which again, I can't give you on the podcast. I'm not allowed to give that sort of advice, but you know what my answer was. And I was like, this is what I'm doing. Do with that what you want, right? When you've got a good relationship with money, you can disconnect from the very emotional aspects of that, and it allows you to make slightly different decisions. Do you feel like because you've got a good relationship, it allows you to be in that higher risk taker kind of space?
I think so, because actually I'm not a big risk taker in any other aspects of my life. Like
No, you're not, because you tell me off when I don't wear a seatbelt in Spain.
That's like, everyone, seatbelts on, there's crazy drivers here, like, and you, I think what
I didn't put my seatbelt on.
Only takes one person in that car not put their seatbelt on, and you will pinball around and kill us all. She was
telling me about pinballing and killing everybody. It was quite the conversation. I put my seatbelt on in the end, just by the way.
Yeah, you did. Because I put the fear into you. I do think that, I mean, if you think of like recent times, they keep saying, oh, you know, the economy's tanking, Bitcoin, like you say, I've got quite a lot of money in Bitcoin. It has been tanking, and there was a small bit of me that was like, do I need to pull my money out of everything? Because I could just pull it all out and then it's sitting there. But I didn't pull anything out. I put more in, actually, which is again what we were kind of talking about. I mean, that I think I was before. I haven't messaged you recently about the Bitcoin.
Not recently. This was the last time. Yeah,
the last time it tanked.
My answer's still the same.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Totally. I totally agree, but I do think there definitely is something in me that kind of goes, it'll be fine. Like, it will work out fine. I'm going to keep it in there. I don't need it right now. I was only ever investing the money that I was happy to lose, and that's still the case. Like, although it's grown and grown, if it disappeared, I am not in trouble. And I think that is, if you're so emotionally tied to this has to work or I'm ruined, that's a danger zone.
Don't invest it.
I would never go there. That's not it.
No.
For me, it's more like I can afford to, you know, I don't miss that. It's going into whatever it's going into every month is what I do. I've just got a wee direct debit that goes in, and then I just put it wherever I want to put it. And that feels, see, everyone's got their different level of safe. I suppose that feels quite safe to me. And I definitely think that my positivity around it'll be fine and the money will come helps with taking the emotion out of investment. Definitely do. So there's probably work to be done for people before they invest money on their money mindset, because it will make that easier, and they'll probably make smarter decisions and not be like pulling things out, making a loss, putting it back in when it's high, pulling things out, like that's a terrible, just leave it.
That's a really good point, because like I say all the time, the sooner you can start investing, the better. But actually, if you're investing from a headspace of fear and scarcity and really like poor relationship with money and debt and risk, you're going to invest and you're going to lose money, because you're going to put it in, and when it wobbles, you're going to pull it out and you'll crystallize a loss. And that's actually not great. Well, it's not great because you've lost money. And the whole point of investing is to make money. What Jen's saying here, for anybody listening to this, is that there's such an important component in the process of investing whereby you need to disconnect from the emotion, and you actually need to disconnect from the wins. Really, you need to kind of assume that it won't win, so when it does, it's a bonus, as opposed to assuming it will win, so when it doesn't, it's a problem. And if you can approach investing with that attitude, you'll actually find that it will be way less stressful, and you can just do it on a standard dollar cost averaging basis, and it is easier. And I think that's quite an important thing in all the conversation we've had today. I think that's a really important thing for people to take away. It's actually, unless you can disconnect from it at an emotional level, investing becomes quite a stressful thing to do.
Yeah. And like you always say, even if it's like a really small amount that you're investing, you're learning how to do it. And even if it's £10 a month that you're sticking in there, it's still better than that £10 a month sitting in your bank account and making going down, or you spend
£0
on some nonsense that you don't want. But I find it really interesting, and I think more women should just read your book or listen to your book and give it a shot, even with £10 a month, and see what happens, because that's how you learn how it all works. And it becomes quite, there's something quite, what's the word? Quite empowering, I think, about...
liberating, about seeing it.
about understanding how it works as well, and that investing isn't just for rich people, and it's not just for rich men. I've been down on the men today.
We love you, boys. If you're listening still, if you've got this far, well done. We love you.
More women, I think, doing that and getting £10 a month, sticking it in, and having a play with it.
And people think, I had a conversation with a friend of mine last week, and they were saying, yeah, but I need thousands to start. And I was like, you don't. You need literally £10 a week would do it. And £10 a week is actually like a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Or like a Starbucks. £9 a coffee cost me the other day, £9. Or it's like a drink in the pub. Yeah. A glass of wine is £8, £9.25, right? Actually, you can start investing with £10 a week, and that would be enough to trigger the educational value of understanding it. Once you start to see it growing, you'll put more in because you'll have it and you'll find it. But the starting bit of it, that switch from not doing it to doing it, what you're saying, that just start small is a really, really good bit of advice.
Yeah. And also, if you're in a group of friends or your social circle, whatever, and no one does it, be the first person to do it, and then teach them how to do it. So, or be the first person in your family that does it, and then every other member of your family from now until whenever will be better. They'll benefit from it because they will see it as, oh, my mum used to do that, so I'm going to do it. Like, my mum puts money in shares, or she puts money in crypto, or whatever people will be investing in, robots or something from the future. Be the first person in your group of friends, in your family, whatever, to do it, and then we'll tell them about it and tell them to read your book and educate themselves and put whatever away a month, and it will just filter out. Like,
it can. The people think that the small amounts won't make a difference, but it makes such a massive difference. It's really important. Okay, so we finish the podcast every time with a question from our previous guest, which I'll ask you in a second, and then we're going to ask you for a question for our next guest. So the question that we have for you is, how much money is enough money for you?
I actually, honestly, I don't know the answer to this question, and I know that there's a thing on your website you can go and work out that tells you, and I'm sorry, I haven't done it, okay? But I think it changes from, like, the way I'm thinking of this question is that it is different for every person. Whether you're wanting to, is this question, how much money do I need to baseline survive? Is it how much money do I need to thrive? I'm definitely more of a thriver than a survivor, I would say. And so much has changed recently in my life. There's definitely some energetic stuff happening just now. There's a lot of change in the world. There's a lot. The moon is doing some crazy things.
The moon is giving us grief.
So I don't think I could even give you a number, because I've got the new baby. I've had to step out of the business, obviously, for a time. So everything is just completely up in the air. And I don't actually know the answer to that question, because I could give you a number and I'm like, I don't actually know if that's it. That's a rubbish answer to the question. But
But what's interesting about this is, even though you are super switched on with money, you invest in quite high risk stuff, you have a lot of fun with your investments now, you've got a business that turns over like hundreds of thousands of pounds, like you own property, do all of these things that you're going on. Most people don't know the answer to that question, because most people have never sat and actually thought, well, we're working now, we're doing all these things, but when will we know that we've got to the end goal? The mission of Money Mechanics is ultimately to help people to realize this, like, what is the end North Star that we're aiming for financially, so that we know when we can actually retire and be all right. And the formula for this, so you can go away and do this after this, is whatever you want your annual income to be in retirement. So, like, let's say you retired tomorrow and you wanted to live on 100 grand a year. Yeah. You take £100,000 and you times it by 25.
Okay.
And you need that amount of money invested at a minimum of 4% return a year.
Okay.
And that's your North Star. That's your number.
Okay. Well, that's my homework then, isn't it?
So then everybody can say, okay, well, if that's my number, I know that I need to start working to put that away. And whatever investment choices I make, whether it's dividends, whether it's houses, whether it's whatever, every decision I make in my business, if I'm going to sell a business, if every decision I make in my career in terms of wages and bonuses and all these things, everything's coming back to that North Star number. Because until you've got that North Star number invested at 4% or more a year, you can't withdraw your wages from your investments, which means you need to keep working.
So clever. That's why you're the money mechanics master, Sarah.
This is it, you see. So there you go. Now you know. You can work it out.
Yeah, I will work it out, and I'll text you later for advice for Penelope and to tell you what my number is.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. So what is your question for our next guest?
Okay, so my question I've written down here is, if you had to reinvent yourself in a different industry, what would that look like? So
okay.
Can't be anything related to what you're doing right now.
So if you were to reinvent yourself, to do something else like for a living.
Yes.
Okay.
In a different industry, what would that look like?
What would it do?
Because I think we'll daydream about, like, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, what would I be doing?
If you weren't doing what you were doing now, what would you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, but answer it.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I would probably, I think I'd go into like a trade. I think I'd be like a plumber or something.
That's cool.
Plumber's minging. I would be, sorry, plumber. I would be like a carpenter or something. Or I would have started as a carpenter and now would have like a female-owned trade. Yeah, that's what I'd do.
I mean, you could still do that. You could just buy one of those.
I know, but I'm too busy with what I'm doing. Maybe in the future, I'm a carpenter now.
Yeah, mate. I look forward to that.
Scales are not the one, so I'd maybe just have to be the one managing the carpenters.
Fair.
What would you do?
I think probably sell ice creams on the beach.
Oh, that's nice.
Get a tan and sell ice creams to tourists, like super cheap. Oh. My AirPods in all day, walking up and down, getting a tan and getting my steps in.
You could retire.
Flirting with tourists all day. It'd be great. In Ibiza, definitely in Ibiza. There's nowhere else. Or I'd run like a sunbed company on the beaches in Ibiza or something like that, where you pay £10 a day to lay on off the sand.
Yeah.
I've sat on the beach. Obviously, this won't come as a surprise to you. I've sat on the beach and I've done the numbers of what they make and then times it by how many beaches there are, and they make a lot of money.
I feel like they're all run by gangsters, or are they not? Like,
I think they're all drug money laundering type situations, because you all pay cash, don't you? So I'm sure that's what it is. But I'm not trying to be a drug dealer. I'm trying to be a legitimate business woman with a good tan and good steps.
Yeah, no, quite. That's great. Perfect. Love it.
Something very low pressure is what I think I would probably do.
Yeah, that does sound good, to be fair. I'd buy
it does sound great. I'll see you there.
Free financial advice with every cone.
Yeah. Actually, if you took this £2 for this cone and you invested it in the S&P 500, the opportunity cost is,
You'd be convincing people not to buy cones from you.
Don't buy this. This is a terrible investment. Yeah, don't do it. Oh dear. Okay, so thank you so much for this. It's been a great conversation. Thanks for finding the time around your new little human. I appreciate it loads. It's been fun talking to you about this stuff. I knew it would be as well. If people want to get hold of you or connect with you or talk to you about anything, how can they find you?
Instagram, probably the best place, at Jenny Drew Coach.
Jenny Drew Coach. I'll make sure that's all in the links.
And the So Confident is at So Confident. So we do sewing classes. You don't have to be in Glasgow because we do them online. Worldwide, actually. We ship all over the world for different bits and pieces. So at So Confident or at Jenny Drew Coach.
And if people want a copy of your book,
it's on Amazon. Stop Playing Small. It's a really small read, so if you don't even like reading that much, then it's really quick. And if you're like, I don't know how to get started with all this positivity stuff, and that's where you start.
Great. There you go. Read Jenny's book because it's as good as my book. Jen, thank you so much. That is us all done. See ya.
See you later.
Thank you so much for getting to the end of the podcast episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I just wanted to take this opportunity to remind you that the weekly Money Mechanics newsletter is available to you completely free. This is a newsletter that I'm going to send out every week to just give you some ideas around what's happening in the markets, what's happening at a global level, what's happening at a lot more local level, so that you can better understand what you can do with your money to make it work for you for the future. I'm also going to share in the newsletter what I'm doing in my own portfolio, just to give you some insights into what my ideas are, why I'm making the decisions that I'm making, in the hope that it will help you to make those decisions in your own portfolios as well. All you've got to do is find the link that's with this episode, hit the link and subscribe, and that newsletter will start to come out to you every single week. I'd also really love to take this opportunity to invite you to drop me a review. I love the opportunity of getting to share these podcast episodes with you. It really helps me to better understand how we can do the best job that we can here at Money Mechanics if you tell us your feedback. So drop us a review, tell us the sort of guests that you want, talk to me and connect with me on Instagram, talk to us on YouTube, wherever you are hanging out. Tell us how you're finding it, and we can make this the very best podcast it can be. Thank you again for being such a valued listener. I appreciate you all, and I'll speak to you soon.